Good afternoon, friends. I'm Bimal Jain, now going to present important changes in service tax wide Union Budget 2016. The first one important change, Krishi Kalyan cess at the rate of 0.5% on value of any or all taxable services would be applicable from 1st June 2016. TRU later talking about Sanvat credit of Krishi Kalyan cess would be available, and this credit can be used for payment of Krishi Kalyan cess, meaning thereby that this Krishi Kalyan cess charged by a service provider to a manufacturer will not be able to get credit because their output is not chargeable to Krishi Kalyan cess. Effectively, to this extent, pricing of goods will go up. At the same time, it will not be out of place to mention that there was Swachh Bharat cess leviable from 15 November 2015, which is neither sanvatable to a service provider nor to a manufacturer. So effectively, these two cess which is coming in very quick span of time becomes cost in the hands of manufacturer. One important point I would like to highlight here, that TRU later talks about Krishi Kalyan cess credit would be available, but there is no corresponding change is made in Sanvat credit rules, which is expected very soon because this is going to be levied from 1st June 2016. Next important aspect which we need to keep it in our mind, all the service tax provision as applicable for abatement, valuation, exemption, refund, interest, penalty would be applicable to Krishi Kalyan cess also. This need to be taken care of. Now I'm moving to next important change which is happening in negative list of services. There are three important change in negative list of services. The first one, under section 66D, subsection L of Finance Act 1994, service pertaining to education sector, like service provided by secondary school or higher secondary school, or any course which is recognized by law for the time being in force, or any approved vocational courses. This particular category going to be deleted, meaning thereby service tax would be applicable from the date of enactment of Finance Bill 2016. But simultaneously, there is new entry which got inserted in mega exemption notification, and corresponding exemption is being provided to the similar activity which was there in negative list of services. Now moving to next negative list item, 66D, subsection O, Roman 1. It talks about transportation of passengers with or without accompanied belongings by stage carriage. It is proposed to be deleted from 1st June 2016. So effectively, this is going to be taxable. There is corresponding entry which is inserted in mega exemption notification 25/2012, and therein entry 23 BB talks about exemption would be granted to a stage carriage except AC, air conditioned stage carriage, meaning thereby for AC stage carriage service tax would be applicable on value of 40% after giving abatement. Similar entry is being provided in abatement notification 26/2012 without Sanvat. So this is pertaining to this negative list item. Moving further to last item of negative list, 66D, subclause P, Roman 2. It talks about transportation of goods by aircraft or vessel from a place outside India to customs station in India. So what is the meaning? This was in negative list, now going to be deleted from 1st June 2016. Effectively, service tax would be applicable. this corresponding change, entry 53 got inserted in mega exemption notification for transportation of goods by aircraft from a place outside India to a custom station in India. So for aircraft, exemption is being provided, but for vessel, now service tax would be applicable. So if any business entity taking services from foreign shipping line, it would be chargeable under reverse charge mechanism. If domestic shipping line providing services, then service tax would be applicable on forward charge as service provider. If domestic shipping line providing the services for export from a place in India to a place outside India, it will be termed export of services and will not be exempted services, meaning thereby credit of input and input services would be available, and this can be claimed as a refund. So we have done with the negative list item. Now moving to certain important changes which is happening in Finance Act 1994. 65B subsection 11, which talks about approved vocational courses, is going to be deleted because this negative list item is now being deleted. Now this definition of approved vocational courses is now being inserted in mega exemption notification. Second, 65B subsection 44 explanation 2. It's an explanation 2 for the definition of service. Last year budget, you would be knowing there was a change. Change of what? Any service provided by selling or marketing agent pertaining to lottery distributor or selling agent. This was chargeable to service tax from 1st June 2015, and that too under reverse charge. So this explanation getting amended to clarify that service tax would be applicable for service provided by any marketing agent or lottery distributor pertaining to lottery. So they wanted to clarify that service tax should be applicable in all such transactions. Now moving to 66E. This is very important, and there is a new subsection J is being inserted, proposed to be inserted from the date of enactment of Finance Bill 2016. It talks about service provided by way of assignment of right to use of radio frequency spectrum by government. It will be one of the declared service and should not be considered sale of intangible goods. This is very important. You would be knowing from 1st April 2016, any services provided by government or local authority to business entity is under service tax net. 66D subsection A Roman 4 got amended. Earlier it was any support services provided by government or local authority to business entity was under reverse charge. This support getting deleted, now being substituted and replaced by any service provided by government or local authority to business entity. Service tax would be applicable. That too with reverse charge. There the corresponding amendment is made in reverse charge notification 30/2012. So any services which was earlier any support services provided by government or local authority to business entity except renting of motor immovable property, then 66D subsection A Roman 1 postal, speed post, life insurance service provided to any person other than government. Roman 2 any service provided to aircraft or vessel inside or outside the precincts of port or airport. Roman 3 transport of goods or passenger. Bearing these 4 items, any services provided by government or local authority to business entity would be under reverse charge mechanism effectively applicable from 1st April 2016. This should be taken care of. Now moving to next amendment, section 67A got amended and substituted to allow clarity. There was a dispute in terms of Rule 4 of POT rules for rate of service tax applicable when there is change in effective rate of service tax, and Rule 5 when new levies service tax applicable. To provide clarity, now 67A subsection 2 got inserted, which is giving power to POT rules. So tomorrow it should not be disputed that POT rules are contradictory to the Finance Act. So 67A applicable for rate of service tax, rate of foreign exchange, and value of taxable services. So rate of service tax, which is provided point in time or time when service is being provided or agreed to be provided, or as may be prescribed by way of POT rules. So this should not be disputed to provide certainty. Now this is being amended. Moving to section 73, it talks about so-called notice can be issued in two situations. One is called non-fraud case and one is called fraud case. Non-fraud case limitation was 18 months, which is now increased to 30 months for service tax purpose. Similar provision under excise and custom from 1 year to 2 years, meaning thereby so-called notice can be issued for non-fraud cases for service tax from 18 months to 30 months, for excise and custom from 1 year to 2 years. Fraud cases will continue to be for 5 years period of limitation as provided under service tax provision, excise and custom. Now moving to section 75. It talks about interest on delayed payment of service tax. You'd be knowing from 1st October 2014, rate of interest on delayed payment of service tax was 18% up to 6 months of delay, 24% 6 to 12 months, and 30% beyond a year. Now this is being simplified, a laudable change. So rate of interest is now rationalized, made uniform for service tax, excise and custom, applicable at the rate of 15%, laudable change. And the service tax specific provision is being made. If service tax collected but not deposited, then rate of interest should be 24%. One more important aspect, we should keep it in your mind, that any SSC having taxable turnover less than 60 lakh rupees in any of the preceding financial year as covered in so-called notice, rate of interest will be reduced by 3%. Just to recall 73B, wherein if you are collecting any excess service tax and not depositing, rate of interest was 18%. This is also rationalized and made at the rate of 15% now. 78A, it talks about penalty on director, secretary and authorized signatory for specified offences of 1 lakh rupees. This section now says if main appellant is being concluding their proceedings under section 76 penalty provision in non-fraud case, under section 78 penalty proceeding under fraud case, then the penalty on specified officer can be waived off. Coming to section 89, specified offences for imprisonment provision. There are 4 specified offences. 1. Evasion of service tax. 2nd. Availment and utilization of credit without actual receipt of taxable services or excisable goods. 3. Maintaining false books of accounts or supplying false information. And the last one and the critical one, service tax collected but not deposited within a period of 6 months. Threshold amount was 50 lakh rupees. This 50 lakh rupees is now increased to 2 crore rupees for section 89 and even for section 90 and 91, meaning thereby non-bailable offence and power to arrest provision which is applicable for service tax collected but not deposited, threshold amount would be 2 crore. In that case, only non-bailable offence can be alleged and power to arrest provision can be initiated. 93A, it provides that a notification may be issued in specified circumstances for rebate on export of goods or services. Now there are 3 important sections getting inserted, and these 3 important sections are very, very important. We talks about 100, section 100, 101 and 102. In let me correct, it is 101, 102 and 103. Section 100 providing retrospective benefit of service tax exemption when service provided pertaining to canal, dam and irrigation work to governmental authority. The definition of governmental authority got changed on 30th January 2014. Because of this change, there was confusion and doubt in the mind if service provided to the governmental authority or not. So to provide benefit with retrospective benefit, now section 101 says that any service provided to governmental authority from 1st July 2012 to 29 January 2014 pertaining to canal, dam and irrigation work would be exempted. Now this particular section also provide if service tax is being paid for this impugned period and incidence is not passed on, then this can also be claimed as refund, provided refund can be filed within 6 months from the enactment of Finance Bill 2016. Now I'm moving to next important section got inserted and giving relief for continuing contract. You'd be knowing last year budget, entry 12 of mega exemption notification, any service provided to government, local authority or governmental authority pertaining to construction, erection, commissioning, installation, completion, fitting out, repair, maintenance, renovation, alteration of pertaining to what? Pertaining to civil structure or original structure for non-commercial purpose, or structure mean for education, clinical, hospital or art or culture or any residential complex. This exemption was withdrawn from 1st April 2015 and dispute persist in a trade. What happened for continuing contract which was entered prior to 1st March 2015. So section 102 giving relief and now saying that service tax would be exempted for such transaction for a contract entered prior to 1st March 2015 and stamp duty as applicable paid on such contract. So big relief, and service tax will not be applicable from 1st April 2015 to 29 February 2016. And corresponding entry also getting inserted in mega exemption notification for such contract till 31st March 2020. And refund mechanism is also being inserted in the provision. If service tax is being paid and this incidence is not passed on to the customer, then refund can be filed within 6 months from the enactment of Finance Bill 2016. This provision is really laudable one. On similar line, you would be recalling entry 14 where service related to construction, erection, commissioning and installation provided to airport and port. Exemption was withdrawn from 1st April 2015. Now section 103 proposed to be inserted, and this section provides relief of service tax exemption for contract entered prior to 1st March 2015 and stamp duty as applicable is being paid. Subsequently, a certificate is being given for contract entered prior to 1st March 2015 by Ministry of Civil Aviation for airport or Ministry of Shipping Line for port. In that case, service tax would be exempted from 1st April 2015 to 29th February 2016. Subsequently, one new entry got inserted in mega exemption notification to allow the benefit of exemption to continue up to 31st March 2020, and refund process is also being prescribed in this section. If service tax paid incidents not passed on, refund can be claimed within 6 months from the enactment of Finance Bill 2016. So we have done through with the Finance Act provision. Now I'm moving to mega exemption notification. In mega exemption notification, entry 6, clause 6, which was pertaining to service provided by advocate or firm of advocate. Now there's a departure, senior advocate. So any service provided by advocate or firm of advocate other than senior advocate to another advocate or firm of advocate or non-business entity or business entity having turnover less than 10 lakh rupees in preceding financial year continue to be exempt, meaning thereby senior advocate providing service tax exemption will not be there. There's a clear-cut departure even in reverse charge notification. You'd be knowing any service provided by advocate or firm of advocate by way of legal service to business entity was under reverse charge. There is also departure, senior advocate is being excluded, meaning thereby senior advocate now supposed to take registration, charge service tax as forward charge basis. So there is clear-cut departure is coming out. At the same time, any service provided by way of representation in arbitral tribunal is also being excluded from the mega exemption notification, and service tax would be applicable. There's certain new entry which got inserted in entry 9, 9B, 9C, 9D, which talks about IIM providing specified educational course or any specified service provided under skill development plan or approved vocational plan would be exempted. Moving further, in entry 12, I have already discussed entry 12 component with all of you, that last year exemption which was withdrawn is now getting inserted in entry 12A with retrospective benefit, and those continuous contract will continue to enjoy exemption till 31st March 2020. In entry 13, there are certain new entry got inserted. Entry 13 talks about any service provided to, irrespective of government, local authority or governmental authority, pertaining to construction, erection, commissioning, installation, completion, fitting out, repair, maintenance, renovation. Now in situ, rehabilitation of dwelling program under approved housing for all, otherwise Prime Minister Awas Yojana is getting exempted. Coming to entry 14, now there is a departure of exemption on monorail and metro. Service tax would be applicable, but only for contract entered on or after 1st March 2016. If any contract entered prior to 1st March 2016 will continue to be exempted for construction, erection, commissioning, installation of any original works provided to monorail or metro. Now moving to entry 16, which talks about any performing artist in folk or classical art form, in dance, music and theatre, amount was 1 lakh, which is increased to 1.5 lakh rupees now. Coming to entry 23, double B. Now AC stage carriage chargeable to service tax. So other than AC stage carriage will continue to be exempted under entry 23, double B. Entry 23, subclause C. Now it talks about any services of transportation of passenger with or without accompanied belonging by cable car, tram badge, rope badge, service tax would be applicable. Certain new entry got inserted in mega exemption notification like Nirmaya, pension plan, annuity plan. These are going to be exempted, and the entry 49 to 53 got inserted in mega exemption notification, which talks about any service provided by IRDA to insurer would be exempted. Any service provided by SEBI for protection of investors or to regulate securities market would be exempted. Any service provided by National Chain for cold storage will also be exempted, and these are specified entry got inserted in mega exemption notification 25/2012 applicable from 1st April 2016 unless otherwise stated. Entry 53, which is transportation of goods by aircraft from a place outside India to customs station in India, is exempted, but vessel would be taxable. So we are done with the mega exemption. Moving to abatement notification. Abatement notification 26/2012 getting amended by notification number 8/2016 dated 1st March 2016. Transportation of goods by rail, transportation of passenger by rail. You'd be knowing last year budget from 1st April 2015, it is chargeable to 30% but with no credit on input services and capital goods. Now this is being simplified. For transportation of goods by rail, transportation of passengers by rail. Now input service credit would be available and continue to be taxable at the rate of 30%. Good one. A new entry got inserted which talks about transportation of goods by CTO, container train operator, taxable at the rate of 40% with SANVIT credit on input services applicable from 1st April 2016. GTA 30% taxable with no credit on input services and capital goods. Now new entry which talks about if transportation of used household goods by GTA, it would be taxable at the rate of 40% with no SANVIT credit on input services and capital goods. Other than used household goods, it is taxable at the rate of 30%. Now foremen providing services pertaining to chit fund taxable at the rate of 70% with no SANVIT credit. New entry got inserted, and this chit fund is a debated issue the day it is being mentioned in the service definition. In service definition, you know there is one entry, any transaction in money or actionable claim. Delhi High Court deciding chit fund business is the only transaction in money or actionable claim. Subsequently, department filing appeal before Honorable Apex Court is also getting rejected. And last year, this particular entry was deleted from abatement notification, but now reinserted in this abatement notification that department want to levy service tax and on foreman commission at the rate of 70% with no SANVIT credit. Now moving to transportation of goods by vessel, taxable at the rate of 30%, and you're allowed to avail credit on input services. On tour operator, abatement is simplified and rationalized. Now it is taxable at the rate of 10% and 30%. Coming to the last, construction services. There were two abatement, 70 and 75. Now it is simplified and rationalized. Even it is residential construction or commercial construction, it would be taxable at the rate of 30% with a condition no credit on input, meaning thereby credit available on input service and capital goods, with another condition value of land need to be included in gross consideration for the chargeability of service tax. We are through with the abatement notification. Now moving to reverse charge any changes. Important change, any legal service provided by firm or advocate except senior advocate. So senior advocate providing services to business entity will not be under reverse charge. But other than senior advocate or firm of advocate providing service to business entity, under reverse charge. And one more entry which is now being corrected, any mutual fund agent or distributor providing service to asset management company was under reverse charge from last year budget. Now corrected, it will not be under reverse charge, it will be under forward charge as applicable. So this is reverse charge notification related changes. Now moving to some changes in service tax rule 1994. In service tax rule, important change, one-person company, they are now allowed to pay service tax on quarterly basis at par with individual and partnership firm. Even one-person company are allowed to make quarterly payment and on receipt basis. Like you know, there was a provision that any individual and firm, be it proprietorship or partnership, having taxable turnover up to 50 lakh rupees in preceding financial year, they can pay service tax on receipt or collection basis in current financial year up to 50 lakh rupees. This benefit is now extended to one-person company. So one-person company are being given leverage to pay service tax on collection basis, and that too on quarterly basis. But for HUF, this relief is granted on receipt basis, but quarterly basis will not be applicable. Now there's a new important change. Annual return is being prescribed to be filed by service provider and manufacturer also. And this is to be filed by 30th November of next financial year. Under service tax, it is being stated, if this annual return is not filed by due date, then there would be penalty of 100 rupees per day. And this return can be revised within 1 month. This is service tax rule provision. Now touching some important highlights from Sandbad credit rules. Though Sandbad credit rules is now being simplified, lot many provisions are being made in Sandbad credit rules, but we are highlighting the important one. Detailed analysis we will come out with next presentation in next capsule from our side. In Sandbad credit rules, important change, any capital goods purchase less than 10,000 rupees can be considered as input to avail credit in the same year of purchase. Subsequently, under Rule 4, Sub-Rule 6, whenever inputs or partially processed inputs change to a job worker, period limitation was 1 year, now increased to 3 years. Rule 5, refund on input and input services for export of services. Now it is being stated that refund claim can be filed within 1 year from the date of receipt of foreign exchange. So this is laudable one. So this period will start only when we receive the money in foreign exchange. In case advance money is being received, then we have to issue invoice in terms of Rule 4A service tax rule, and this 1 year period would be applicable from the date of invoice in case of advance money received. Rule 6, which talks about Sandbad credit can be taken on input and input services for taxable and exempted goods and services. There are revamped changes and good changes pertaining to Rule 6. What Rule 6 now says, that we got two situations. That one, I'm taking my input and input services which is purely mean for my taxable purpose. Then I can avail 100% credit, no problem. But whenever we are procuring common input and common input services, in that case we have to reverse credit in terms of Rule 6 Sub-Rule 3. Exempted goods 6%, exempted service 7%, or we can follow Rule 6.3a. Coming to Rule 6 Sub-Rule 4, this is quite alarming that any capital goods which is used for 2 years for exempted goods, manufacturing of exempted goods or exempted service, credit cannot be availed. So there's a bar coming on capital goods used for 2 years for exempted goods and exempted services. Rule 7, ISD distribution. There is also good change. Erstwhile, ISD can distribute the credit only to its own manufacturing unit. Now it is being allowed that this credit can be distributed even to a job worker. Good change from Rule 7 perspective. Coming to Rule 14, last year change, you'd be recalling FIFO system got inserted. First in, first out. So we avail credit, wrong credit. It is assumed that we are using the wrong avail credit first in, first out basis. Now this FIFO system is being taken out and it's a good change. So we have to keep in watch if we are maintaining good balance in SANVIT credit, irrespective of fact, FIFO or LIFO, interest will not be applicable on wrong availment and utilization of SANVIT credit. So SANVIT credit, lot many other changes with practical example. Will come out with detailed analysis. I'm going to just touch upon 2 or 3 important changes for Central Excise perspective. Now under Central Excise, return can be revised on similar line as service tax SAC. Good change and laudable change. Now there are 2 important change coming under Central Excise. The one, first, excise duty applicable on jewelry. 1% without SANVIT, 12.5% with SANVIT, with a threshold amount of 6 crore exemption, provided in preceding financial year the turnover is less than 12 crore rupees. So corresponding change is made in SSI notification 8/2003, and another change, Central Excise duty applicable on branded ready-made garments, applicable at the rate of 2% without SANVIT or 12.5% with SANVIT, provided RSP is more than 1000 rupees. So these are the important changes from Central Excise perspective, but there are a lot many change which we need to highlight and come back to you. We will create those capsules with practical example and come back to you. In the meanwhile, we are inviting suggestions from all of you. If you want to represent any issue to the Government of India, Finance Minister or CBEC, kindly send back your suggestion to our email ID info@a2jtaxcorp.com so that we can compile those suggestions and send to the CBEC for the corrective measure. In the meanwhile, if you want any improvement in our presentation, or you want further details and clarification, your suggestions are welcome and invited. Thanks for watching this particular capsule on Union Budget Changes 2016. Thank you.